Hello, everyone. Hello, 25 years. 25 years old, and we're here to celebrate. You caught me by surprise. I was waiting for a video, and we were like, ooh, what's going to happen now? 25 years old. I'm so happy that we're here to celebrate and to start the celebrations of the 25th anniversary of Slitherine. The first thing I want to show you is a video from Ian, who's been recorded. It's been recorded a few days ago, and then we'll connect with Ian, who's at a show right now. You know, so to sort of frame the anniversary, the celebration, and the start of the of this long period of events that we're going to offer to our community. So let's take a look at the video and then we'll be right back.
Hello everyone. It's a real pleasure to welcome you here today to this special event where we celebrate history, passion, and above all, strategy. I founded Slitherine 25 years ago with the simple idea to create thoughtful and engaging strategy games. I've wargamed since I was 6 years old, and I have a deep love of strategy and war games. I'm interested in military history, and I love the elegant and interesting mechanics. I've competed in competitions all over the world. I was the UK champion, the European champion, and the world champion. So wargaming is really in my blood. Today we're here to tell you how that idea turned into a journey that spans 3 decades, filled with games, partnerships, dreams come true, and new challenges ahead. This is also a moment to thank you, our community, because we've made every move, every decision, every game together. So get ready. As with any great game, it all starts with the first move.
That's the start of it. I think that it's just giving. It still gives me chills that to think that we started from Ian's room back in Epsom, and it started with a very small group of developers that were trying to do something different in the strategy gaming world. And as one of our creators correctly referred to Slitherine after all 25 years, we stick to the niche for this very long time, and I'm very proud of it because it's very hard to stick to a genre, stick to a mission for that long, and all whilst of course growing and making learning and making great games. I was counting the number of releases we've had just since 2014, and it was 435. Would you imagine? Including DLCs, of course, but you've got an idea of how much we've worked to get here. So to celebrate that, we have a video that highlights the key games that we've launched in the past years, and we'll just be right back.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the comeback? You know we the ones that ready for whatever. We gon' have to show them some, man. Let me see them hands up all the way from back. You don't understand that I'm doing what you can with no cap. This is the return of the one. You ain't see him coming, you just heard drums. They've been ready for the battle. Any person that comes got the weight of the world on them. Yeah, they're too strong. I might have been down, not out. It's on sight, you gon' figure that out. And I might have been down, not out. Only one thing I gotta know now. So are you ready for the comeback? Yeah. Are you ready for the? Are you ready for the comeback? You know we don't want that. Let me see them hands up all the way from back. Yeah, it's the comeback. Are you ready for the comeback? Now I see you with your bad self. If you into taking L's, then I can't help. I'll be the self-made champ, look at my belt. I built this all from the ground up, it's all by myself, y'all know. This is the return of the one. You ain't see him coming, you just heard drums. They've been ready for the battle, any person that comes got the weight of the world on them, yeah, they too strong. I might have been down, not out. It's on sight, you gon' figure that out. And I might have been down, not out. Only one thing I gotta know now, so are you ready for the comeback? Yeah. Are you ready for the?
The games. That's what makes our days happy days. We make games, we make entertainment, we make fun but clever games, and we've tried to do this for 25 years. The core, and Ian was rightly saying at the beginning, the core of our mission is to deliver great games for players, and having an interaction with players has always been a very core part of our job. We started with forums back in the days, and we have kept working on our forums and through our forums for a very long time. Then we moved to Reddit and Steam discussions and Discord and Twitch and YouTube, and listening to all these feedback has helped us make better games, improve them, make updates and patches and DLCs that people like. Some DLCs have sold over 40% of the base game. So that's meaning that we are really managing to sort of make sure that everything we do is very much in line with what players want. And community is the core of any niche market. You can't make these games and please an audience if you don't listen to community. So everyone out there are listening to us today or tomorrow in recorded format, anytime. This is really 25 years that we have achieved with you out there. We have asked some of our friends and partners that we work with every day to record a small message for us to give us some love for the 25th anniversary, and we've sort of made everything into a video that I'm going to show you now.
Hey Slitherine, Martin Wood here. Congratulations on your anniversary. Wonderful, wonderful work. And continuing amazing work from you guys.
Hi Slitherine, it's Deborah Wild, and I just wanted to wish you a happy 25th anniversary. You guys are incredible. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much for having invited me a few years ago. I had so much fun at that TV show where we were cooking pasta all together. So happy anniversary, and hope to see you again.
Slitherine doesn't just make games. You build bridges between eras, between players, and between creators around the world.
And my favorite Slitherine game is by far Starship Troopers Terror and Command. It is challenging, it is fun, it has achievements.
Gary Grigsby's War in the East. It just doesn't get more complex, realistic and challenging than that. It's just fantastic.
And my favorite Slitherine title that I've played probably be Field of Glory 2 Medieval.
Turn after turn, sometimes in real time, 25 years has gone by. Happy anniversary, Slitherine!
25 years of strategy gaming, unforgettable campaigns, and a lot of passion. Happy birthday, Slitherine, and thank you so much.
I'd like to congratulate you on your 25 years of service, and well done for all the tremendous hard work, all of you old beans at the office. Congratulations on the 25 years of service, sir.
A massive congratulations to Slitherine on their 25th anniversary. Gosh, that really does make me feel old.
Keep doing what you're doing, keep making great games. I hope you have an amazing 25th anniversary week. I look forward to taking part in it myself by playing one of my favorites from you guys, ICBM Escalation. Once again, happy birthday.
Que mon jeu préféré est Warhammer 40,000 Gladius.
I'm currently playing Field of Glory Kingdoms a lot at the moment. What a fantastic game. My favorite obviously is going to be Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow.
Broken Arrow. Des batailles tactiques à grande échelle, c'est exactement ce que j'adore.
Feels like the strategy game I've been waiting my whole life to play.
It's the RTS I've been absolutely waiting for over the years.
Happy birthday, Slitherine, from me and Mario.
Happy anniversary. I hope that you're all super proud of what you've achieved. Thank you for being a positive part of this industry.
Happy birthday, Slitherine. Thank you for being such good friends. Thank you for inviting me to the Geek Recipe, and thank you for just being so awesome.
And a big thanks to your wonderful donation that we received from you. It's got a good place here in the archive, and we wish you all the best. Take care.
My personal favourite is Distant Worlds 2, a game that is equal parts amazing and challenging.
Warhammer 40k Gladius.
Field of Glory
Scramble, Battle of Britain,
Starship Troopers, Terran Command,
Terminator, Dark Fate y el aclamado Broken Arrow.
Starship Troopers, Terran Commands.
Combat Mission and Command Modern Operations.
Well done on Scramble, Battle of Britain and Broken Arrow. They're both great.
Starship Troopers, Terran Command.
Distant Worlds 2. I just love how detailed the galaxy is.
Terminator, Dark Fate, Defiance. Reason being is because when I was a kid, I wanted to lead the resistance against the machine.
I never stopped playing Slitherine games.
I've been around since the Steel Panther days, but my favorite games of all are the Strategic Command games.
Panzer Corps and now Panzer Corps 2.
Headquarters World War II.
Heading from Strategic Command to Distant Worlds, some of the newer additions to the family and Rule the Waves and Combat Mission.
I want to wish Slitherine a happy 25th anniversary. I love some of their titles like Gladius, as well as Starship Troopers Terran Command. I think that's a really sick RTS game and you should definitely try it if you haven't given that one a go yet.
Happy anniversary, Slitherine. I have loved strategy games with so much passion all of my life, and that's what you guys are about. Gladius, one of my favorite video games of all time, in my favorite franchise of all time.
The thing I have always appreciated about Slitherine is that you actually have embraced the niche. And that's something that I think is, it's a difficult decision to maintain, but you've done that very, very religiously over those 25 years.
Doing my part in my favorite game from you, Starship Troopers Terran Command.
Warhammer 40,000 Battlesector.
I love Warhammer.
Stargate Timekeepers.
Command Modern Operations.
War in the West.
Starship Troopers.
Definitely Panzer Corps 2.
Warhammer 40,000 Gladius, Relics of War.
Distant Worlds.
And I just want to say, before I leave for my summer holiday vacation with my family, that I'm bringing Terminator, Dark Fate, Defiance with me, as I have unfinished business with all those metal Terminators.
Strategic Command.
Terminator, Dark Fate, Defiance.
Strategic Command series and Terminator.
From historical battles to modern military simulations, you've brought tactical depth and immersive gameplay to fans around the world.
It has been decades of great wargaming. Thank you so much for that.
For keeping real strategy alive.
And thank you for the unforgettable memories.
Big celebration for Slitherine. Enjoy all the discounts, enjoy the games, and I'll see you on the battlefield.
And I want to wish the whole team the most exciting and the best projects and games ever. So happy anniversary again, and I really hope I get to see you again. And thank you. Bye. Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you. You're awesome. Happy birthday! 25 years. Keep it up. Another 25. Then we'll do something celebrating 50 years. Okay? 50. Keep up the good work.
Loads of them. We had to sort of condense. I mean, some of the love we got was amazing. So thank you everyone for contributing to this video. I am super happy about it, and so much so we're following up with more. Actually, we have some of our big friends are going to stream loads of videos in the next upcoming days. So we have a streaming schedule that's here. Available on our different channels. You're going to see that there's a lot happening in the coming days. Why? Because we're having loads of discounts coming with a big sale as well. So don't worry if you didn't make it on the summer sale on Steam. You'll still have more discounts coming afterwards, and also take the advantage to watch some of the good friends live streaming our games on Twitch and YouTube, and stay connected with our community and our friends there. Before we sort of move on, a couple of very quick things. That we have divided this sort of stream into sort of three big parts. The beginnings. The second part will be focused on our first steps into the wider world of the bigger strategy gaming market, and then we'll look at what's coming. Things you've never heard about. If you're here for announcements on new franchises and so on, you'll be you're in the right place. We've got a little bit of something for everything. Of course, on Broken Arrow, just to set the expectations, we just released the game. We're working on fixes and making sure that the experience is improving, so we don't have any major announcement coming for that. Sorry. My microphone. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I can't release. Read on. Yes. Thank you, Annie. I'll hold this whilst this is going to be fixed. I don't know what you didn't hear. So is this? So basically, next upcoming, we have like the first part of the live stream will be focused on the. Should I put it here? Here? Yeah. Okay, here. The first part will be dedicated to the beginnings of the company. Then we're going to focus on announcements and updates on the live franchises. What we have in all the IPs that we are actively selling. And then the third part will be mostly about what's coming up afterwards. So the future updates. Every IP or franchise will have its own set of updates and announcements. We're also going to announce new games. In terms of what is happening for specifically for Broken Arrow, just because we have just launched it, there won't be any major reveal of future content or anything. We're looking at fixes and things, but we'll definitely cover Broken Arrow later with some more news about it. But before we get to that, let's cover how we all started and why not chat to our founder, CEO, Presidente, and everything else. Live from Bristol, Ian McNeil. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Marco.
Oh gosh, you look very elegant.
I can see. Oh no, I can't see you. I can see me now. A minute ago, I could see you. Yeah, I'm not normally this smart, but yeah, we're at a conference this week.
All right, you're at the Wargaming conference, right?
Yes, DSET. It's a defense and simulation and training conference.
Which is interesting because you're basically, working on the future of of the company, and we have a chat about the very beginnings. So it's an interesting mix.
Yes, it is. It's been a really interesting few years working with the defense side, but thinking back to the beginnings is also really interesting and exciting how it all started.
Yeah. So you started from the first game was Legion, but the first game we published, but that was in 2000, right? So what happened in 2000 when you started?
So I started out as a producer at IDOS, and I was working with a small developer, just like a one-man team, and he'd made a game called Tyrannosaurus Tex, which was this really cool cutting-edge 3D game on Game Boy Color. And at the time, there was nothing like it. So I was the producer, but I could see that they were struggling. And so I left IDOS to join and start a new company with this guy. He already had a name, Slitherine. So we started a new company called Slitherine, and the idea that was going to merge in what he had, and we'd have this new thing, and we'd help him to bring it to fruition. But in the end, he had some kind of nervous breakdown and disappeared. And so I ended up with leaving IDOS, having a company called Slitherine, with no employees, no staff, no design, no game, just an empty shell. And at that point, I decided I needed to, what we're going to do with this. And I decided to do what I knew best, which was war games. So I went to find some people I'd used to know and work with in the past, and pulled them in, and that's how we created our first game, Legion.
Because you were already a big fan of strategy games, right? So as you were saying, you were a war gamer, you played war games. You've also worked on strategy games in the past, right? You were involved in strategy gaming.
Yes, I mean, I worked with Westwood Studios, we worked on the old Red Alert mission discs. So I was a huge Command & Conquer player. Used to love that. So we worked on the mission discs for that. I was the designer on June 2000, and then our creative and technical directors were the creative and technical directors on that game as well. And that's when I left to go and become a producer at IDOS. So that was the kind of the history before Slitherine. So I'd been working on those games. But when I was playing the games when I was younger, it never even occurred to me that you could get a job making games. It was just, I'd never really thought about where the games came from. If I'd thought about it, I'd have always wanted to make games, but it never occurred to me that it was possible.
And Legion was the first game. What was the intention with Legion? What was the goal with that first game?
So with Legion, we wanted to have a strategy game with some empire building, but we wanted the battles to be a bit more interesting and meaningful than some of the other things I'd seen. And I took a lot of my experience from tabletop war games and built that into the combat mechanics. So there's a lot of terrain effects and paper, scissors, stone effects between the different units. And a lot of those interactions you'll see in games like Field of Glory later.
I think what's interesting also is that back in the days, Legion with Spartan, with Gates of Troy, with Shells of War, Slitherine was an independent developer, right? So it was almost like, what we're doing now with indie developers, trying to help them bring their game. So, how was that, part of the business, running a business, but also being at the very bottom of the chain?
It was not good. No, we had some really horrible experiences. So we weren't being paid. The way it used to work, you'd have retail. Retail would buy from distributors. Distributors would buy from publishers. Publishers would buy from developers, but they wouldn't always pay them. And that was the trap we got into a few times. So the money was not flowing through. The games were selling, but we never received it. And it really deeply ingrained in us this desire to make sure that things could be done better. There was no need to treat developers like that. And so we've always worked in that way, that we're trying to find partners, long-term relationships, work with developers to help them succeed so we succeed. And it's been a kind of part of our philosophy through working with developers, but also our partners. All of that trust and relationship building and long-term relationships runs through everything we do on the commercial side, but also on the defense side.
I was saying to you earlier that still strikes me after all this time that Slitherine won, at the time, Slitherine won a Best Graphics Award for one of our indie games at the beginning, right? So was it Spartan or something?
Yes, it was. It was at the Independent Games Festival Awards, I think. Spartan won an art award. At the time, we were so pleased, so proud. Looking back on it, things have moved on so much. So the quality bar has gone up so far, but still, I am still proud of those original games, and still people play them. So yeah.
It's a very interesting curve, because then after, was it Legion Arena that moved us to 3D, and then we started doing a bit more wider audience type games.
Yes. So Legion Arena was when we met you, wasn't it, Marco? That was again, the games development GDC over in the US. You were working at Black Bean, and you signed up Legion Arena as one of the games for there. And yeah, the quality bar on that was much higher than anything we've done. But again, compared to what we do now, you look back and you think, God, everything looked so ugly back then. But at the time, we were really impressed with ourselves.
I think, you still think they can make games. I mean, it's still the case that we have games that we publish that are made by 2 or 3 people team, which is still interesting, right? Things have progressed, but you can still make games with very, very small teams.
You can, and to be honest, I think often it's better. When teams get too big, I'm not sure you get a better result at the end of it, and you're seeing that in the wider industry as well. Some of these really big teams, hundreds of millions of dollars, it's very, very polished experience, but it isn't necessarily an experience that people really want. You can make a small, polished, focused game with a small team that delivers some real entertainment for a specific niche audience. And it's been mentioned a few times before, but we really do stick to our niche. And I was just thinking, actually, the video that you showed at the start is extremely embarrassing. I don't know if you know that it took 71 takes to make that pathetic video. So you provided a script, and I cannot do it from scripts. So I find it much easier just to say what's in my head. So yeah, that was awful. And the guys were sat there for best part of an hour to get about 1 minute of video.
I think we all try and do our best in the jobs, and I guess that's not your
that's why I don't do that professionally.
Comfort zone. One last question, Ian. I wanted to sort of bridge you to the next phase, but it's interesting that the next bit of Slitherine was, going back to war games with Field of Glory, in actual figures, miniatures and tabletop.
Yes.
Can you explain how that happened and how we got to Field of Glory?
It all started when I was 6. I was playing tabletop war games. I played that through till I was in my 20s. Then I kind of dropped out of tabletop wargaming and got more into the game, working in games, making games. But we noticed a gap in the market. There was nobody was filling the space for ancient war games. And so with a few people we knew from the past, so Richard Bodley Scott, which you'll know well from the Field of Glory series, Terry Shaw, who we're working with on some other games, Battle Academy related things he's worked on, and Simon Hall, who is making some board games. We got together, we created the rule set, created something we wanted to play. And actually in the script at the start, I wanted to say, oh, sorry about that. There's an announcement going off.
That's okay.
That's right, the event's over. I forgot what I was going to say now.
Simon Hall
Anyway.
and team, you were working on Field of Glory, and that was the...
Yes, we did lots of play testing of the tabletop rules, and then we saw an opportunity we found that making books didn't really make you any money. So we printed all the books, but we realized that, that was not a way to make money, and so then we decided to digitize it, and the digital version of Field of Glory is one of my favorite games. Really enjoyed that. That and Strategic Command are my two favorites. That was mentioned a couple of times earlier as well. But yeah, Field of Glory has built this huge following. It's really, really strong kind of competitive community around it, having a lot of fun. And it's all those different periods of history. It's so interesting. You've got the Romans, the Egyptians, so many different armies, so many different combinations. It makes it really rich and interesting. And it was a really, really fun thing to work on.
Well, Ian, thank you for bringing us back to those times. I find it fascinating, to be honest, that you're there talking about Field of Glory miniatures and things. In the back, you've got, the future of military training, and it's just so cool that we're
There's a surprising number of board game counters around, even in the military side.
It's still a thing, right? There's still a lot of people playing board war games, which I find fascinating, and it's still a big niche. So I'm happy that this community is still thriving. Thanks for joining us, Ian, and I guess happy end of day, and I'll see you soon, I'll
That's great.
keep going with our colleagues now.
Yes, thanks, Marco. And big thanks to all of the messages. I had no idea we'd had so many birthday wishes. So that was really nice to see. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the show, and thanks very much.
Cheers. I think it's really cool to go back to these days, and you can't believe how present these things are. I mean, Ian was saying we met the first time at GDC, and every year we go back to GDC. So it's like, yes, it's 20 years ago, but it's present, and we still see indie games at GDC, and every year, and we look at pitches, and it's very present. It's very actual, which is really cool. I love the idea of being in the past but looking at the future. But I have two colleagues here with me. David and Neil. Hi, David. Thanks for joining us from Epsom, and Neil as well. Neil, you've been traveling quite a lot these days. It's Birmingham and London.
I've been doing a speaking tour. Yes,
yeah.
This is my last engagement.
All right. So David is executive producer and many other job titles that I won't even mention. We're trying to compress them all on one, so if that's fine for you. And Neil is lead external producer.
Well done. Bravo.
I remembered it without reading, which is great. Neil, I'm going to start with you because we were discussing Field of Glory, and one of your latest releases was Field of Glory Kingdoms. So, interestingly, this is one franchise that's spanning like 20 plus years. So it's interesting to see what it is now, and how we're how we're working on it in present days.
Yeah, Ian gave us the story of how we got to version 1 of Field of Glory, which was I believe a 2D game long before my time here. 2D game set in the ancient world. Not so long before I joined, which was 2019, there was Field of Glory 2, as it was branded at the time. We tend to refer to it as Field of Glory 2 Ancients nowadays. That was 3D, another battle simulator, tabletop warfare, set in the ancient world. After that, we had a grand strategy game, which was Field of Glory Empires. So essentially a 4X game as you sort of try to conquer the ancient world. You can see a little clip of it coming up there. So that was, again, slightly before I joined, I think 2018, 2019. And you see our beautiful map there as you sort of roll across the world, the ancient world. The next title in the series was the first one on which I worked directly, and that was Field of Glory 2 Medieval. So a medieval battle simulator that sort of begins in 1054, which I'm sure everybody watching will be well aware is when the great schism between the Eastern and Western churches had just taken place. So lots of different, the nations themselves are very different tactics, very different military units, so on and so forth. A very different art style for the game as well. I suppose people think of the ancient world as being quite dusty and brown, whereas the medieval world, as you can see here, we set out to create something much more colourful, much more influenced by medieval art, such as our highly stylized trees here, which I've always been very proud. So that was February 2021, if memory serves. We've had 5 DLCs off the back of that, which I think is a testament to how popular the game has been and the enduring appeal of Field of Glory as a whole. The most recent release that I worked on, indeed the most recent release there is, was our next grand strategy game, so Fog Kingdoms. Fog Kingdoms, Field of Glory Kingdoms, give it its full and proper title. That came out in June 2023, again a grand strategy game. Unlike Empires, which Empires first introduced a mode where you could export your battle from Empires into Field of Glory. You could play the battle in Field of Glory and you could re-import it into Empires, as battles are fairly abstracted in Field of Glory Empires. That was something we retrofitted in, and with quite a bit of work to do all of that. Whereas Field of Glory Kingdoms was always designed to sort of pair up one-to-one with what we'd done in Fog 2 Medieval right from the start. So it's a beautiful looking thing. It spans hundreds of years of history. We've most recent release is Fog Kingdoms, Rajas and Tribes, the first DLC, that greatly expands the map, as we can see. See a lot of Africa on the map here. So yeah, we're expanding out the area covered to sort of match the areas that we have in the DLCs of Fog 2 Medieval.
What I find super interesting in these games is that you really need a lot of research, of course. You need to make sure that you please your audience from a accuracy perspective and such, so, which is one thing, and so my question would be, how do we do that? And then the next question is going to be, how do you expand on games that are already so big?
Well, indeed. We've been working with a gentleman called Dr. Robert Houghton for a couple of years, based at the University of Winchester back in the UK, who has helped us enormously with our research. We also have a lot of our research is done by a fan who was originally sort of a big member of our community, a guy called Jim Windsor in San Diego, who's a huge fan of all the all the FOG games and has taken on a research role, leaving Pocus much freer to sort of work on the development of things. Rob has helped us greatly as well. Those of you who follow FOG closely will have seen the FOG Day last year. Rob was here with Dr. Claire Kennan. Both were doing live streams there. Claire did the excellent Lens On series talking about various snippets of medieval life. Rob is closely involved with the, what's it called, the Middle Ages in the Modern World conference, which is not a game-specific thing. I mean, Rob's interest is very much in the portrayal of the medieval world in video games. But this conference is a sort of multidisciplinary thing.
Talk about niche.
Yeah, indeed, it is niche, but I was there at King's College London a couple of weeks ago, representing Slitherine and representing FOG Kingdoms. There indeed is a picture just before we got going on a very big screen in an incredibly hot room. It doesn't look like it, but it was. Presenting to just out of shot, there are quite a few people, quite a few historians in there, and we were explaining what we had done to bring the sort of the medieval world to life, and sort of the design choices we had to make, how we balanced accuracy and gameplay. There's often some tension between the two.
Yeah.
Going forwards, I said it was always a design goal of FOG Kingdoms, that it would match everything we'd done in FOG 2 Medieval. Those of you who have been paying close attention will be well aware that we haven't covered the entire time period that the DLCs of FOG 2 Medieval do. Or indeed the map is still to expand further. There's a lot of potential to do more things there. We have a few hundred years to play with. A thing which gets requested quite a lot is the ability to play as the Mongols. So rather than playing in a sort of to build a society and to build legacy, it's almost the opposite of that. It's just to steamroller everything in your path for a laugh. So if we can make that work, then I think we'll have something very appealing indeed.
One thing that's worth mentioning now is that as part of the anniversary, we'll start rolling out updates to games that are very specific to the anniversary. So how we celebrate 25th anniversary in the different games. And coming up with all sorts of clever or crazy or weird ideas to celebrate the anniversary in game. So the first one is definitely going to be Slitherine Kingdoms. So can you tell us what we have prepared around that?
So what we have here is, should you wish to activate it, because obviously we take historical accuracy very seriously, but should you wish to activate it, you will find a very powerful building just to the south of London, ruled by a powerful Scottish clan who wish to spread their influence throughout the area and sort of conquer the lower classes. I'm not sure how much you will be able to read on the screen there, but it's a little flavour of Slitherine for our 25th anniversary. A very powerful tool at your disposal should you choose to use it.
Okay, and did you send the logo, the Slitherine logo, the Slitherine lizard for approval to our brand team there, or?
I'm not being closely involved in the approval process.
I think I'll have to check that. But that's really cool. I think this is an example of what we're going to roll out for different games, and we're going to see what we have in house for all the products. McNeil with an I, not with an A. McNeil.
Things change over time.
McAnalis. And like Neil.
Like Neil. Yes.
That's really cool.
Indeed.
That's really cool. My next guest here at the celebration is someone who, of course, couldn't make it to Milan. So we're going to be connecting through the powerful means of Slitherine. Hello, Eric Routins.
Hello.
How stressed are you?
Hi, Neil. Hi, David.
How stressed and nervous are you? Ian was very stressed and nervous.
I'm probably feeling less stressed than you are with having to run all this from Milan. So I'm just sitting here in my home office. It's pretty stress-free.
I think it's interesting because when we started working with Matrix, and Eric, you are a co-founder of the original Matrix games, right? So
right.
that's the initial, the first logo that you're seeing there. We started working with Matrix a long time before we sort of we merged, we acquired the company. But and Matrix was a distribution company for Slitherine, right?
That's true. Well, we started as a bit of a publisher, I think, from the get-go. And so when Slitherine did, Legion, for example, and such, we connected through that. I remember speaking with, through email with Ian and JD, back in those years, just because we were taking, Legion and bringing it to some of the US markets that we served.
And interestingly enough, whilst I was working at my previous job, I used to publish some of the Matrix games, distribute some of the Matrix games in boxes. One of which was Gary Grigsby's
World at War.
Word at War. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Well, what we did was we would take a few games every year and do a retail release of those, because back then, and I think it was the same for everyone, you didn't have the digital distribution channels as well established. So even though you could provide games to download, and a lot of people were still on modems, getting a game or two into retail every year really was the way to raise awareness.
And when we started working together, I think the real goal was that I guess Matrix started very early in digital distribution because of a need, I guess. It's less shelf space, so more ways to reach out to customers and have direct relationship with customers.
We were on the same wavelength. I think we were on the same wavelength, because what Ian and you were saying about embracing the niche, that's what brought us to really embracing the digital distribution. Because as you said, the retail channels were becoming more and more focused on other types of games, or over time on console games. And to make sure that we could get the types of games we all wanted to play direct to war gamers and strategy gamers, we looked to the direct digital downloads. And I think we were the first company at that point to offer that in the gaming space.
Yeah, and I think that 2010 when we merged, I think that was the moment also when Matrix had this game release that was not really a war game, was still addressing a niche, but Distant Worlds was, almost stepping a bit outside of the Matrix games comfort zone, all in with, the merger going on. And I find it interesting that happened on the same year, right?
Yeah, it's true. I think this was, it's basically synchronous with our merger. So I think we announced it to the world in January, and then we completed our merger in March, something like that. And then it released, in March, and then we completed our merger in May. So it was right around the same time. And we were working on, I remember talking about it the first time that I met you in person, and we were talking about, the merger and such. That was one of the titles that we shared that was in development. We were all very excited about it.
Yeah, and it's happening weirdly that Matrix Games is also 25 this year, right?
Yep.
So it's an interesting, set of events. And tell us a bit more about Distant Worlds, because I think this is one of the things we say is that everything that we've been working on for a long time, Fiddle of Glory, we'll look at Panzer Corps later, Distant Worlds and so on, they're very old franchises that we still have active work on, which I find really fascinating. It's of course our mission to keep IPs going for a long time, but Distant Worlds has a very cool story. So let's go through that a bit.
Sure. Well, I'm the producer of Distant Worlds, and I'm also a co-designer. I was working with Elliot on this back, to the beginning, from when he came to us when we were Matrix Games, and then through the years when we were Slitherine. So we'll start a little journey here, I guess, to go through the past. We've got some old screenshots. So Distant Worlds is a very deep and complex 4X space game. And it began before our merger in 2010. But with 2010, we released the original Distant Worlds 1, and we're seeing here some screenshots of a Distant Worlds 1 alpha. So this is not something that ever went out to the public, but this was while we were developing it and before we had put the final art into it, which was, one of the key things that brought it to its final production values. So we had, this was really the first, I think, Space 4X game that took that sort of living, breathing galaxy concept and really made it work. So we've just got some of these shots that show, the Distant Worlds 1 alpha, and then I think we're going to end up with a shot that also shows what it looked like at the release, which is this one. So this was once we had sort of finished updating the art and updating some of the gameplay. And this was Elliot Gibbs at Codeforce, who is the developer and co-designer of this. So he and I worked together after the release of Distant Worlds 1 in 2D to add in a whole bunch of expansions, which added a lot of new game systems, subsystems, and mechanics, detailed characters with skills and traits, ground combat, better pirates and playable pirates, and then greatly improved modability, and all that rolled up into Distant Worlds universe in 2014, which was sort of the definitive edition, everything into one big experience. And that also gave us the first look at the ancient galaxy, what we call it, before the big cataclysm that creates the galaxy that you normally start playing, where you can find these ruins of the ancient galaxy. And this was also the first time that we released it on other platforms. So remember, we were talking about how we were selling direct. So Distant Worlds was one of the first games we put on Steam. And, it was the beginning of our general experiences with these other platforms as well, as a way to get to our customers. And so we then had several more years of updates and modding support then, and then we started work on Distant Worlds 2. So you're seeing some pre-alpha screenshots. This was the very early alpha Distant Worlds 2, beginning of the research tree, which looked pretty bad then. This was another early alpha of a planet. That thing that looks like a ship next to the planet was actually an early spaceport. We didn't have the models for the spaceport yet. And then we have a bunch of cruisers and destroyers fighting it out in a little test battle off to the right. And our goal with Distant Worlds 2 was we knew we wanted to go to 3D. And this is sort of what it looked like at release. And we wanted to make the galaxy bigger than ever before, with more detailed factions, a lot more story, and a new engine that would let us do fully multi-threaded processing. One of the things about Distant Worlds 2 is it's a very CPU-intensive game. Even though it looks very nice graphically, there's a huge amount going on to be able to simulate the entire galaxy at all times, so that wherever you want seamlessly, you can go and take a look at what's going on, and it's always going on. There's never anything really behind the curtain. So it took us a bunch of years from when we finished updating Distant Worlds Universe until the release of Distant Worlds 2, about 5-6 years of development until we released it in 2022. And since then, we've released a lot of faction expansions to bring back some of the Distant Worlds 2 factions. And we also released the Return of the Shakturi expansion, which was a pretty big milestone for us. This was a big boost to the series, introducing a new endgame crisis, a new storyline, the return of the legendary Shakturi and the Ancient Guardians. And that's been part of a pretty strong development cycle we've had going from 2024 into 2025, with also the Atuk and Wekarus as our latest faction DLC. The Atuk are very naive and are constantly changing their directions, and the Wekarus are one of the most ancient factions that are very sort of mysterious. There's a reason for that, and they both have some ties to the Shakturi story as well. And that kind of sums up how we got to where we are now. Yeah. And I think, if you want to, now we could look
Eric, at... Which is interesting. This was our first Steam release. And last year, in 2024, so 10 years later, 10 years after we released Distant Worlds Universe on Steam, almost 20,000 games were released on Steam. Back when we launched Distant Worlds Universe on Steam.
It was very different.
400. And... And I remember on the day we launched it, I think it was around May, first couple of weeks of May in 2014. I remember we were constantly on the top 10 for a week
Yes.
And I kept refreshing because I was, we were like, selling big, selling
you and me
huge,
both.
right? And we got feedback from the community, and it was really amazing. Something you couldn't even imagine. We released Broken Arrow on June 19th, and we were in the top 10 for maybe 4 or 5 days, and the number of units we sold of Distant World Universe is very different from the number of units we sold of Broken Arrow. The number of units you needed to be on the top 10 in 2014 was very, very, very different. Just to make a comparison.
A lot of things have changed.
It's cool to see that we have sort of gone through all these changes as well. And by the way, my favorite faction on Distant Worlds 2 is the Atuk. Where's my Atuk pillow? Someone bring me the Atuk pillow. We have an Atuk pillow in the office. I'm very proud of.
That's fantastic. I would like an Atuk pillow.
You want one? I can send you one. One of the things that we were saying earlier with Neil was there's updates going on for Distant Worlds 2 for the anniversary. Is there something coming for Distant Worlds 2 as well?
Yeah, so we have, first, as you were saying, we have this anniversary update coming out, and that's going to have, similar to what we were seeing with Field of Glory, we've got a couple of special things in there. We've got a new story event and a new secret location to find, and then we've got a little anniversary freighter with a variant texture on it, and these are some of the highlights from the change log. So we've got some improvements to the independent colonies. They can now have more variety with facilities, ground units, artifacts at the beginning. We've made more improvements to the fleet and ship AI, which we keep going back to. That sort of interface, that threshold between automation and manual control always requires a bit more work to get to perfection. So we've added some new policies, especially for ships, to keep them behaving against threats the way players want to when they're in that semi-automated form. And we've also made some improvements to the Hive, which is our mid-game threat in the game. So that'll be available on August 7th. We're releasing the anniversary update then, and that'll be our update for the summer.
So, yeah, I think, this is not... Oh! This is it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Who's going to buy one of these? Let's start the merchandising for Distant Worlds 2 now. Sorry guys, just being stupid here. This is not the only big update you've got for us. There's a lot more coming. Do you have anything to add, to announce here?
Yeah, well, to celebrate the anniversary, which we're all very happy about today, we're going to give you a little bit of a preview of our next feature expansion. And that feature expansion will be releasing this winter. We don't yet know if that means the 2025 side of the winter or the 2026 side of the winter, but it'll be this winter, and that's Distant Worlds 2 Shadows Rising. And Distant Worlds 2 Shadows Rising is a feature expansion, not a faction DLC, so it's more similar to something like Return of the Shakturi. And this brings Distant Worlds back into the shadows. So this has a focus on making both pirates, and if you don't want to play as pirates, then independent worlds more interesting. So if you're playing as Galactic Empires, the pirates will be more interesting, the independent worlds will be more interesting, but it'll also allow you for the first time in Distant Worlds 2 to play as a pirate. And you'll be able to choose a pirate playstyle, control a space-based civilization rather than planetary civilization, based on a contract system, as well as doing raiding or smuggling or mercenary work. And there's a lot more that we can talk about that. And we've been showing a few screenshots here. So we showed a picture of the concept art for pirate carrier and cruiser, some pirate destroyer and frigate concept art. I think we also have an image of a pirate shadow port, which is sort of, that's this one here, built around an ice asteroid. And that is sort of a, I'll call it a neutral third-party port. You can think of it sort of like NASA or a Tortuga or something where no particular faction controls it. All can trade there. And so we're doing basically a full speed ahead right now. A lot of development work on this, a lot of artwork, a lot of content work is going into this with the goal of a winter release. And that brings us, I guess, to talking a little bit about our future roadmap. That'd be cool, yeah. Yep, so we've got the update that goes out before Shadows Rising. We'll have the base faction refresh for the Tikans and the Hakkonish, both fairly mercantile factions. Then we have the Shadows Rising coming out in the winter. Then we'll have a spring update that'll have the base faction refresh for the Octarians. And then we will have another faction DLC coming after that, which we are not yet ready to announce the specifics of, but that'll probably be following around 2 quarters after Shadows Rising.
You keep yourself busy, Eric, and this is only like a fraction of what you do. So thanks.
Oh, I want to thank the whole Distant Worlds 2 team, because we're all very, very busy. So Elliot, Max, our artists, our content team, they're all working very hard on all this to keep the Distant Worlds community interested in the living galaxy.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's been a pleasure talking to you again, and good luck with all the stuff you're working on, which is a lot, not only on Distant Worlds. And I'm sure we'll speak very soon in other major events that we'll announce soon. A very small break, and we're going to be back. So Eric was saying the first game we did on Steam was Distant Worlds. The second game we did on Steam was Panzer Corps. Coming through a different avenue. I don't know if you remember, David, back in the days we had this thing on Steam called Greenlight.
Yes.
So people had to vote which game you wanted to be on Steam.
Egg for success.
Exactly.
Yes.
So whilst the Distant Worlds, Steam called us and said, can we add Distant Worlds to Steam? Panzer Corps was in Greenlight, was on the very top of the list. So that was 2014 again. David, Panzer Corps.
Yes.
That's a big one, right? You know, when you joined, we were still working on Panzer Corps 1, right?
I joined and worked on DLCs for Panzer Corps 1. So I was an Allied Corps when I joined the company.
Panzer Corps released in 2011. Mm-hmm. Interestingly, I mean, can you tell the story of Panzer Corps, just in a nutshell, right?
So I think obviously Panzer General, not a new game, an old game, was produced a long time ago and was kind of dead. But then people didn't want it to die. So you have a guy called Alex Shargin, who is kept it alive with, is it Panzer General Forever?
Forever, yeah.
Yeah, so he's basically a mod of the game. Just doing his own thing. I think at some point Ian and him met and discussed and thought this is a cool thing, we should carry on with this. And so we ended up making Panzer Corps being an actual full-featured release based on Panzer General Forever, which then turned into an epic success, including one of the best games to sell on iPad, of all places.
That's right.
Absolutely got gobbled up on iPad. It was a whole new thing for Slitherine at the time. It was like, suddenly now you're a mobile publisher, which is a novelty.
Which we're not anymore.
No. Then you've got, from that, then a whole thing of like, well, it's been successful, what do we do now? How about more? So you have kind of the Soviet Corps, Allied Corps, the Axis operations, all the Axis operations and everything else coming out for it. And that's just a huge game that did so well for everyone involved in it and is hugely loved by everyone who plays it.
Yeah, I think the other thing was cool at the time was we were experimenting with a lot of things because there was iPad, which we were big on because we had Battle Academy 1, which was also a big success there, very big success. But we were also experimenting with DLCs and a DLC is really a DLC or is it an entry point to the game? So I think Soviet maybe and Allied were like standalones.
Expandalones.
Yeah,
they're kind of
expandalones.
Because Soviet and Allied were both expandalones, but they were both interconnected. So if you had Axis operations, it would still work on one or the other. It was, it was lots of rolling of dice and because no one's really done it at that point, which is kind of hard to think about now. But it's like, what works? How about this?
Yeah, so we were experimenting a lot, and I found it fascinating that, you know, today we have a game that's huge. Panzer Corps 2 is huge, released in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, which brings me to Panzer Corps. If you look at Panzer Corps now, you know, you think about it, it's almost take it as a given. But Panzer Corps is a huge game, which required a long time to develop. How do you make such a big game? What are the moving parts?
Oh, well, it's one of those things that it kind of needed more collaboration, I think, we'd necessarily done before, because we have Alex's team in Flashback Games, who are still a relatively small studio, and making a game that is now fully 3D, not 2D like Panzer Corps 1 was, and just not set up to produce the sheer thousands of planes and tanks and ships and infantry that suddenly a 3D game needs. So we got very much a tight integration with kind of our art team at Slitherine, especially people like Pat Ward, who led a lot of the art design on it, then working with outsourced companies to kind of bring in the sheer weight and quantity of every Panzer that has ever been or ever will be. So it's a sudden real kind of knitting of us as more than just a publisher, and kind of a publisher and a facilitator.
How do you get, because one of the things that you were saying earlier, it's interesting because, you know, you need to get the style right, because that's what you're going to be sticking to for...
Because if you're making 1,000 planes, which I think it's 1,000 tanks, 1,000 planes, if you're going to make 2 planes, you need to know what plane 1 is like. So all that time you need to spend on plane 1, because otherwise you've got to make 1,000. If you don't get it right, you've got to remake all those 1,000, and that's like however many hundreds of thousands of dollars down the path, which is not our way of doing it.
No, absolutely. And Panzer Corps is still one of the most played games we've got, or probably the most played, well, other than Broken Arrow now, of course, you know, it's throwing all the numbers out the window now.
If you want to go and look at, who is still playing it, it's people playing it all the time, because every release of Panzer Corps gives you so much content, and importantly, the design decisions that the guys made at the start, both Ian and Alex had a lot of talk about design decisions. Kind of, how do you make it so that you play through once, then you play through it again in a different way, and all the ways you can customize your commander, all the ways you can customize your force, your core force to take forward, it's huge once you're done with it.
Is there anything on Panzer Corps that you sort of are really proud of, that, you know, makes you think, right, this is a game that I'm very, very proud of?
I think just as a war game, it just looks so good. It's built on Unreal Engine, which is like not something you necessarily associate with war games. That's the kind of thing that your high-end 3D movies get made on. But taking that chance of going, this is a war game, but we're confident enough in our visual and technical style that we can actually go to that set scale of engine and make something that's beautiful. It's amazing. Yeah,
and one thing that I'm really also looking at from a player perspective is that, you know, this was a game that we weren't really afraid of releasing a lot of content on day one. You know, you've got the campaign, you've got skirmish, you've got multiplayer, you've got, you know, map editor. This is a load of stuff in the game, like a lot.
Yep.
And Alex was instrumental in this. You know, we were like, we should make it a smaller game and then add more. And he was like, no, I want the players to be able to sort of almost like play everything released Panzer Corps on day one, which was very challenging to and very long to make, right?
Yeah, it wasn't an easy thing to finish. It was an easy game to start, but not an easy game to finish.
And what's the current plan for future content on Panzer Corps?
More. So we've already, I think, got out there. We did the full Axis operations again through to 1947. We've done Frontlines. We've done war stories. As you're seeing on the graphic on there, we've more to come to be announced, I think, at Panzer Corps Day in a couple of days' time. But yeah, there's more knitted campaigns, more of the Elite series. There's more developers who want to make more Panzer Corps content.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about Panzer Corps is that with Panzer Corps, you can create different types of content. And of course, community has been screaming for, I want linked campaigns and I want, you know, allied or, you know, so there's stuff that we know community wants, but also I think that, again, experimenting with different types of
It's
DLCs.
part of the history of Panzer Corps, but well, let's try that. I mean, not everything will hit, but if you don't try it, you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it that you know, on the schedule of we're gonna do a Panzer Corps Day in a couple of days' time, dig into you know, the details of what's coming up. What's the thing that you're really looking forward to?
I'm actually looking forward to kind of going to the linked campaign for Allied Italy. I think that'd be quite cool. I've never really done much of an Italian campaign, and I get to go around destroying Italy all the way through.
That's a very good idea. Thank you for thinking of that, which that wasn't my thing, but absolutely. Panzer Corps, you know, showed, I guess, that there was a possibility of making a war game that was appealing to war gamers, but also make it wider audience, right? So appeal to, I would say, you know, and then we're crossing the border. Is this a war game or a strategy game, and so on. So this was, I guess, the first one that showed us that we could do something that was appealing to a wider audience. And the next game we're talking about now is Order of Battle, which I think, again, was another one where we experimented a lot and approached a much wider audience.
Yeah, so I think Order of Battle kind of, in the world where Panzer Corps was, trying to find a thing of like, actually, how can we do this differently? Of then going, actually, the Pacific is there and is hard for Panzer Corps to do because it's a very kind of land-based, tank-based game. So I think we end up working with Lucas and the Artistocrats kind of go, actually, what else can we do? How can we make it new and innovative? And by going, if we're in the Pacific, well, you need better boats. You need landing. How do you supply a landing? How would you make it interesting to actually go and do Guadalcanal? And so there's actually, by choosing a new place of questions, we were forced to come up with answers. And it made for actually a really interesting game.
The thing, I'm watching a video there, which is interesting because it wasn't really only about experimenting about gameplay, but business models. So this was the trailer we launched when we sort of made the free-to-play version.
It's known as free-to-play on Steam, but it's a free-to-demo. I think there's no real word for it. So initially the game came out as Order of Battle Pacific, which is basically US and Japan fighting the Pacific War. We did a first DLC, fairly traditional, Morning Sun, which was the Sino-Japanese, Second Sino-Japanese War. Again, fairly similar, but more land-based. But then we started looking at, actually, well, we've now shown that you can do all sorts of things with this game. What else can we do? And so, well, you can go to Finland. I think we went to Finland for our next DLC to kind of go and do the Winter War. And then it's like, okay, this works fine. We need to go more land-based. But rather than just doing, okay, Panzer Corps has done these experiments in Allied Corps or whatever else, can we instead go separate this large upfront purchase of Order of Battle, which is still a premium game, and go, actually, you can try it for free. You can get a free version of the game that will let you try any of the campaigns, see whether you like it or not, and then you just attach the DLC. And that's, again, something we'd not done before. Demos weren't a thing. It's not like now with Steam Next Fest and 20,000 demos per day or whatever it is. Demos were things you got on CDs still. No one did a demo. Free to play wasn't even really a thing. It was just about
mobile. Not for these games, no.
Not for these games, for mobile, but that's what it is. So this was quite innovative.
It was, and you know, if you think about it now, it sounds kind of weird because, you know, 60% of players' time on Steam is spent playing free things, either free-to-play games or demos, or there's almost 20,000 demos on Steam. You know, but we ended up having a game which was downloaded hundreds of thousands of times, and that's a real number, right?
Yeah.
And with a lot of people thinking that we're going to play a mobile-style game, so leaving a negative review, and we had to fight that as well. But this is really a way for us that we managed to sort of popularize a genre, I guess, which is, again, experimenting, and it's something that we have never been shy of doing.
And again, Order of Battle, actually, we worked alongside Artistocrats again when they were starting to look at other things. We took on a lot of the development of Order of Battle to help it on. So we have guys making the campaigns, but also really I ended up doing all the multiplayer work of building all the multiplayer maps and building out the tournaments, which is not something we thought we'd end up doing, but was just an opportunity.
I think this brings me back to the idea of, how do we popularize, how do we make a wider market, and so on. Brings me back to Panzer Corps, where we sort of used Panzer Corps as a platform to start our new phase on the company, I guess, with licensing. And with Panzer Corps, we did our first Warhammer game.
We did.
Which was Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon. And this idea of using a tech and, trying to use it for a wider market types of products, just gives a bit more of that.
It's a moderate stroke of genius, really, because a lot of the games that us sat here on the sofa made during our younger years, when most of us still had hair, they were kind of games that you made once, shipped it off to DADC, and then moved on, and didn't even think about it ever again. You meant to make the next game, whatever the next game is, usually on like a different platform. Whereas now we have kind of a game in Panzer Corps where we had a really solid engine, and then the opportunity of, well, what if we take that and attach a really popular, really loved IP that we all love internally, and go, so what if we put them both together? And kind of taking like the wonderful setting of Armageddon and all the orcs and the Blood Angels and everything piled together and going, we can make essentially Warhammer 40k epic in Panzer Corps, which is mental when you say it, but it was a really good game.
Yeah, it was. And again, model, DLCs, things, you joined when we were probably working on
I think I joined
DLCs.
towards the tail end, so I was doing like Golgotha with Terry Shaw, that kind of things, but yeah, it's still just really good fun.
Yeah, and at that point we're still very limited, very small team, right? There wasn't many of wasn't many of us.
I think it's 14.
And we had the Panzer Corps engine, which we were using for Panzer Corps and Armageddon.
Yep.
We had the Archon engine, which we were using for Battle Academy, Field of Glory, and then we started using for Sanctus Reach.
Yes. Again, we've kind of proven that thing of we have technology. It's hard for these small dev teams to make this kind of core engine technology. We have that knowledge. We have Phil Veal, our CTO, who had made all this stuff working with Ian since the year dot. This is good technology. Why not de-risk the hard part of game dev and let people do the creative part? So don't worry about making a game engine rendering blip maps or whatever else. Just go, actually, we know Warhammer, we want to put big old stompers in there and have them punch Space Wolves in the face and let them enjoy that.
And this is interesting because then we started sort of suggesting to other developers they could use the same model, right? And this is, taking us to games that are very much alive now. Gladius, same kind of model, right? Warhammer 40,000 Gladius. We had a developer we were working with, Proxy, made a game called Pandora, 4X game, and we said, well, this is working for other games. Why don't you try and do this new one, which was Gladius, right?
And Pandora First Contact was a fun game. It was a really quite novel take on the 4X genre of just go and fight. Don't bother with diplomacy. Everyone needs to fight everybody all the time. And obviously, it didn't necessarily sing, I think, at first. I think you guys did quite a bit of kind of engagement to kind of get it up there and get it notable. And then we realized that actually there's something there, that actually there is only war. Well, there's only one strapline for that. So there is just such a natural fit to go, well, what if we put epic 4X Warhammer in that same there is only war mechanic? And it's made a game that is a genius bit of design.
Yeah, Gladius is still, working, still up there with the best 4X games, to be honest. So, and the sort of leading us through the evolution there, interestingly enough, the next game or development team we sort of engaged with about this was Black Lab. Again, having a game called Starhammer.
Yep.
Starhammer 2 was it?
Starhammer: The Vanguard Prophecy.
And then turning that system into still probably up there top 3 of my favorite Slitherine games, Battlestar Galactica Deadlock.
Yeah. Okay, it's kind of, we've got a very small dev team based in Perth in Western Australia, which is nowhere near anywhere, making quite a unique, really cool strategy game that no one's really thought of making in Starhammer. And then us being able to go to them after working with Paul and publishing it and getting it onto various platforms. And I think you literally asked Paul, what game would you like to make, Paul? And we went away and found Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which is, again, a wonderful union of existing tech that was a fun thing, chromed with Chrome, and just made such a wonderful, beautiful, really interestingly mechanic game that had all the things of, it's got the wonderful, tight mechanics for people like me who just love grogging out on stuff, and then all the chrome and shiny and lore adherence that we try to enforce with all of our games. If we're doing an IP, respect the IP, make the game that people want from that IP. And BSG Deadlock was a really, really great to work on.
Yeah, and BSG is also the first game where I guess we sort of upped our marketing messages into really this game could appeal to virtually anyone, you know, and we ended up trying to sort of push on that. The story with Black Lab didn't stop there, and I think that, you know, this naturally leads into the next phase, which is interestingly the next decade, really, you know, the start of the third decade, 2020, with the release of Battlesector. Tell us about going from, I've got a nice sci-fi space battles technology, and I'll turn that into Warhammer Battlesector. Which is a bit counterintuitive, considering the flow of, you know.
So curiously, this is kind of the inverse of exactly what we've been talking about, where we internally knew we had the knowledge and capacity, and had proven to have the knowledge and capacity to go take Warhammer 40k, not just make the battle game from the tabletop, and make something unique and engaging and different. And importantly, then we have a development team who we know are capable, efficient, really focused on making the most beautiful, lore-adherent thing we could. And rather than say, we've got existing technology, put that on top of it, we've got knowledge of how to make Warhammer 40k fun. You haven't got an engine, go and make the best engine you can. And it's kind of that inverse of, so Paul is a very good engineer, he has very good engineers working for him, and basically going, well, we know internally at Slitherine how to make really good battle games. We have a load of knowledge and experience inside our company. And they have the experience of basically going, we've spent a lot of time making DLCs for BSG Deadlock. Our code base is a bit worn now. We want to make something new. And an opportunity to go, let's build a really good, solid engine that makes the best Warhammer 40k game we can possibly make.
And we did, I guess. The Battlesector did super well, and I think that it's really now, it sort of sets the tone for everything we've done afterwards as well. Upping the quality level of everything, quality level graphically as well. We were then looking at transforming core gameplay loops, but also in pretty graphics and so on. And then I think at the beginning of last year we both sort of picked it up and said, Paul decided that he was not willing to go ahead with the Battlesector franchise. We picked it up and decided to start internalizing things now. So a lot of people, hopefully, that are watching the stream today are also part of the Battlesector team. So props to them as well. Yes. But tell us what's happening now.
So last year we kind of picked it up for kind of schools. Last year did our first patch update for some couple of units, but then since then we've just basically been able to go, we have now a core team in our Poland office in Warsaw, and we have other team members scattered around inside Slitherine, but also now external additional support from people like Future Rats in Italy. Basically going, we know that people who play Battlesector want more, and they want more of a specific thing, and maybe there wasn't that capacity, where now we're basically able to go, we can leverage kind of our contacts, our capacity to go, here it is. So adding Astra Militarum last year, we added the first narrative campaign since launch, just a few months ago, added some new units to that for the Sisters and the Orcs. And so yeah, we've also announced Black Legion for the end of the year, for kind of being able to say this is when the new faction's coming. So yeah, there's yet more of it coming, and also a bit of Slitherine 25 as well.
Yeah, so what's happening there? I mean, we've got stuff coming tomorrow, right?
We have stuff coming tomorrow. So a patch is coming out tomorrow, adds some reasonable tweaks. It updates more stuff in the Crusade mode. So we get the Crusade mode in May this year, which is kind of a new kind of reasonably experimental game mode. You're seeing a bit of it there. It's still kind of in preview if you want, but we're finding people are really engaging well with it. So we're adding more to it. We're carrying on adding more to it. So there's more legendary upgrades land tomorrow. But also importantly, and if any of you have got to the end of Deeds of the Fallen and wondered who the guy is at the end, or maybe just looked at the key art and seen the big orc on a bike, we're adding the Death Killer War Track for free.
Nice timing.
Tomorrow. Yes, well done video. So yeah, anyone who owns the Orc Faction DLC will now find they have a bonus speed boss and his big bike available for free from tomorrow.
And then 25th anniversary as well, right?
Yes, so that's part of it. And then we've got other more small unannounced stuff coming later. We've also got a new tournament started on the 11th, which is Friday. So if people want to join for the tournaments, they can get involved in that, playing on new maps from Deeds of the Fallen, and obviously the first chance for people to use the Death Killer.
And one of the things to say about Battlesector, which is very important, is that it's got a vibrant community of players, and they are now playing a lot of Crusade, which is great, because it's like, help us improve the game, and they're following us massively, which is great. We have sent out a survey about 3 weeks ago. We had
a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
Big response. Lots of people saying, what they want to see in the game, which is great. It's an active community, and again, the more active, and I have to say the more well-behaved communities are, the better it is to for the product.
So I've been the producer on Battlesector since 2020, and I did the original beta test. And our beta test Discord is still going. There's still people in there that I recruited for original beta tests, for subsequent beta tests, whose opinion I now value, because they played the game more than I possibly could, and are essentially guys who now know if I give feedback, we'll respond to it. And we do that with the external community as well. People say a lot of things in our Discord, and we're always listening. We can't always respond, but a lot of the changes we make for the future of the game are almost always based on considered feedback from our community, and Battlesector's community is very good for that.
It is, and it's a good sign for the future as well, because this game has, I wouldn't say we only scratched the surface, but there's a lot to explore.
We've taken a nibble. There's more cake to eat.
Yeah, so it's that's really cool. Thanks a lot, David. On Battlesector, there's going to be more announcements coming. Probably, I would say, once every couple of months, something.
We've got stuff coming Q3, stuff coming Q4. There's plenty to win.
And are you on time for the next faction?
I think I am, yeah.
Are you?
Yeah.
David is saying publicly that the next faction is releasing in December. I didn't say anything. You said something. You said it.
I feel I've been trapped.
All right. Just a short break, and we'll be right back. we got rid of David because he lied about the DLC being on time. So, is that true?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Yeah,
you don't know, of
it's an
course. I
internal
take full
project.
responsibility
I don't
for
know.
it. The next little bit of news we're going to show you is about Starship Troopers. So Starship Troopers was almost our first step into, going from let's make turn-based games, more popular. Then, we started with Starship Troopers about, with RTSs, that was then followed by Terminator and Broken Arrow. And so we're now the reference for RTSs, which was unforeseeable 10 years ago. So I'll take a look at what is now happening in the Starship Troopers universe, because we haven't sort of give you big news recently. So take a look.
We launched Starship Troopers Terran Command in 2022. It quickly became one of our most successful launches ever. Since then, we've expanded the game with 2 highly acclaimed campaign DLCs, Raising Hell and Urban Onslaught. These DLCs introduce new planets, fierce arachnid enemies, and challenging new missions. To celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the game's release on June the 9th, we're thrilled to have unveiled the 4th year roadmap, packed with exciting updates for all the troopers out there. First up, we're excited to announce that a major update will be rolling out in Q3. This update will bring a host of improvements and fresh content to Starship Troopers Terran Command. We've added new player units to the Qualasha campaign, and many of these units will also be available in the DLC campaigns. Several Qualasha missions have been updated to focus on these new units, enhancing the overall gameplay experience. Additionally, the Raising Hell DLC will see new mercenary unit types alongside significant updates to its campaign missions. The Urban Onslaught campaign will also receive some new important mission changes, primarily focusing on integrating the new units. Plus, this update includes major performance improvements, targeting slowdowns that players may have experienced during longer play sessions or on larger maps. Very soon, players can sign up to the open beta for the new major update. They're ready to playtest and help us improve the new content in development. Next, we're thrilled to announce the highly anticipated Territory Mode coming this fall. For those who haven't yet seen our recent dev diaries, Territory Mode introduces a fresh new game mode offering unprecedented freedom in unit selection and tactics. In this mode, players will battle the arachnids on specially crafted maps to capture territory points, adding a strategic layer to the game like never before. Both the base game and all DLCs will feature exclusive Territory Mode maps and their own unique battle group, offering even more tactical variety. So be sure to check out our latest dev diaries on Steam for more details. Finally, we've got 2 exciting new DLCs coming later this year and into early 2026. The first will focus exclusively on Territory Mode, expanding this exciting new game mode with fresh content. The second is a full story campaign DLC, similar in scope to Raising Hell and Urban Onslaught. This new story will be set on a jungle planet and will introduce new characters, new units, and even more terrifying arachnids. The new DLC will also expand Territory Mode, adding new maps and introducing its own unique battle group.
Effectively, this is going to be Starship Troopers 2.0. I'm sort of very proud of where the team is going with this. It's taking slightly longer than expected, but we really wanted to sort of be the reference of what Starship Troopers is going to be for a long time now. So the idea is that this is going to be 2.0, and we're going to sort of work on it instead of sort of releasing a second Starship Troopers. Give the existing players access to a lot more options. That's the goal. Next up, we've got Neil here to briefly talk about Stargate, which was, I think, another way of trying different things in with the license, but also with different teams as well.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of firsts almost for us with Stargate. It was the first game we've made with our internal studio in Poland, so that's a very important milestone for us all, obviously. It was a very narrative-driven game, more so than these war games we've seen. We wanted to tell an original story right from the start. It's why we used new characters, because it freed us up to tell an original story from day one. So doing something narrative-driven, I think, was very interesting. We also tried to sort of follow the pattern of the release of a TV series to some degree as well, because we released it like 2 series overall. It was, January and October 2024 was when we released sort of the 2 parts of season 1 so far.
It's interesting to see that. I mean, Stargate, sort of, as you say, was a number of first timers for us, I want to sort of give a big applause as well to our team in Poland, because it's almost like, the team is still there. They're all there, right? Probably except for Sonia, but the core team is still there, and they're working on a number of other things that we may have announced or not announced. But they are doing an exceptional job at keeping our core values alive. Different studio as well. So. Big props to everyone in Poland. I cannot say it in Polish, but thank you for all your hard work. Can you say it in Polish?
Well, thank you is dziękuję in Polish.
So that's
Wielki dzięki. That's great thanks.
That's the thing. Next up is the last sort of licensed franchise we've launched recently, and we've got a small piece about Terminator and what's coming for Terminator in the coming months. So take a look.
Working on this game has been a truly unique experience, not just because of the RTS genre, but because we had the opportunity to bring the Terminator universe to life in a way fans haven't seen before. When we started this project, our goal was to build something grounded, something gritty. We didn't want to make a standard action game. We wanted a strategy game that reflected the desperation of humanity's fight for survival. That's why there's no base building, no endless reinforcements, just your troops, your resource, and the odds stacked against you. Each mission is a tactical puzzle. Every building, every unit, every movement matters. You're not just a commander, you're a survivor making impossible decisions in the shadow of extinction. It wasn't easy working with such a well-known franchise. We wanted to honour the lore, the atmosphere and the timeline of Dark Fate, but also expand on it. And I think we succeeded. The result is a game that feels authentically Terminator, while giving players something they've never experienced before. Since launch, the response has been incredible. Fans have been passionate, honest and vocal, and we've listened. We've already delivered updates and quality of life improvements, and we're working on new content that dives deeper into the war against Legion. And we're far from finished. The new DLC, Uprising, will introduce a sweeping sandbox-style campaign across 22 sectors of post-apocalyptic America. You lead the resistance, manage supplies and manpower, and engage in dynamic player-driven conflicts against Legion, Cartel, Marauders, Integrators, and allied factions. Fully open-ended strategy, every campaign plays out differently depending on your decisions. And that's not all. Later this winter, we're launching a story-driven DLC that follows Lieutenant Church as he heads into Canada, continuing the narrative thread from the last DLC, We Are Legion. It's the next chapter in the war. You won't want to miss it. Thank you for fighting with us. The resistance stands strong and the battle is just beginning.
And on this, I'd like to sort of give a big thank you to our friends at Skydance, helping us creating a Terminator game that's very true to the franchise, and also helping us experimenting with new units and new cool settings, and they're really helping us make and expand the game from what we have launched. This was the last game we have talked about, which is part of an IP or an external IP. As part of our mission as well, we are trying to sort of create new ones, create new games, experiment with gameplay systems, and we also focus on trying to bond with independent developers. Indie developers are part of our core nature. That's where we started, as you have heard. And the idea of this game I'm going to talk about now is which is ICBM. It started from a project called the K Project, which was a sort of an incubator of indie development teams, and we started from there, a very small team, a one-man team, ICBM, and the new one, ICBM Escalation, which released at the end of last year, is a two-man development team. This is just give you a number, which is interesting. Usually sequels do about 60-70% of the predecessor. That's usually the numbers in the industry. If you do a sequel, you know that you're at least going to do 60% of your previous one. ICBM Escalation ended up making, in the space of 3 months after launch, 3 times the numbers of ICBM, just to give you an idea of how successful the game was, but also how much passion and innovation there was in ICBM Escalation. It's been a huge success, and we're willing to show you more about it. So take a look at this.
ICBM is a real-time strategy franchise where every choice can lead to survival or total annihilation. The idea for ICBM came from a simple but terrifying question. What would happen if the Cold War went hot? We wanted to build a real-time strategy experience that simulates the tension, the calculation, and the sudden chaos of nuclear warfare. You are not just launching missiles, you are commanding tanks, fleets, and aircraft in a race against the clock, with the entire world at stake and your nation's survival on the line. What makes ICBM different is how it blends simplicity with intensity. You are not just micromanaging armies, you are overseeing a continent, coordinating satellites, radar systems, missile silos, bombers and submarines. The moment you launch a missile, you know someone will retaliate. The question is when, how, and whether you'll survive the exchange. With ICBM Escalation, we greatly expanded the game core and pillars. We added conventional warfare, a full single-player campaign, improved AI, improved diplomacy system, and fictional scenarios that explore alternate timelines, alternate outcomes, and more. And the best part is the community has been incredible, helping us refine balance, suggesting new technologies, and even proposing scenarios ideas. Thanks to you, the game keeps getting better and better. Looking ahead, we are continuing to explore new systems. We are working on future content, such as campaigns, new units, and techs, new game systems, and we are also reworking the AI. ICBM will keep evolving, just like the threats it simulates. Thank you for playing, for testing, and for supporting us. We are proud of what ICBM has become, and we are just getting started. A brand new campaign is already in the works. This time, you are taking command of the United States.
To answer the unrest cure question, how long till we get a Star Wars strategy game? I've already announced internally that the moment we announce our Star Wars strategy game, I will retire. So the same day. That's the thing, right? So please make it happen now. I want it as bad as you want it, for different reasons. So the next one up is sort of a game that I'm very proud of. As in, it's again trying to take this Panzer Corps concept into sort of even broader audience, and that's Headquarters World War II. We launched it a year and a half ago, a year ago. And I think that Headquarters, again, a game that has so much potential for experimenting and doing very cool things with, made by an incredible team in Ukraine. Let's take a look at what's next for that.
As the producer of Headquarters World War II, I want to thank all the players for being part of our growing community. In celebration of Slitherine's 25th anniversary, we have some exciting updates to share, covering recent improvements, upcoming content, and what's next for the game. Let's begin with a highly requested improvement, AI improvements. With our latest updates, both skirmish and multiplayer AI have been significantly upgraded. The AI now makes more effective use of the headquarters abilities. It pushes forward more. It now judges the player's overwatch to try to push into that more, offering a more challenging and tactical experience. The AI now makes more effective use of headquarter abilities. It pushes forwards more. It now judges the player's overwatch to try to push into the enemy more so, offering a more challenging and tactical experience. To support ongoing competitive play, we've introduced an ELO-style ranking system. From now on, every official multiplayer match will contribute to your position on the official leaderboard. And crazily, I'm at the bottom of that leaderboard at the moment. As part of Slytherine's 25th anniversary celebrations, we're releasing a special in-game update for Headquarters World War II. In the unit customization screen, players can now incorporate the Slytherin logo and our signature bright green colour into their camo designs, customizing your tanks with the iconic Slytherin salamander. It's a small touch of history and identity that we're proud to share with you. Coming this September, we'll be launching Urban Warfare, a brand new map pack designed for both skirmish and multiplayer modes. These maps will challenge your tactics in close-quarter urban environments, adding a new dimension to your battlefield strategy. And also, because you asked for it and we're making it happen, full Steam Workshop integration is in development and planned for winter 2025. This will allow players to create, share and download custom maps and content directly through Steam. We'll provide more details as we get closer to the launch. And that's not all. There are more surprises in store for the coming year, so stay tuned.
For anyone who was going to ask the question, I can see a lot of questions. Finally, the chat is asking stuff, which is what we want. This wasn't Mark's last video. We have one more. I know you were curious about it. The next one is, again, experimenting, trying to come up with different things and such. Scramble. Scramble is a game we have in early access, which is also helping us bridge towards a more, I would say, into the future of what's coming next. Scramble is a dogfighting game. You're doing a strategy game. What is your dogfighting game? Well, this is a very different take on dogfighting, and adding a lot of strategy to it. So very happy to share more news about where Scramble is going in the coming months, and you have a look and be happy.
When we launched Scramble Battle of Britain to early access, we knew the mission had only just begun. Although the level of simulation in Scramble is one of its most compelling aspects, we didn't just want to make a flight simulator. We set out to create a dogfighting experience with a turn-based nature, rooted in realism and flight physics. That's what makes Scramble so unique in the air combat genre. Planes handle differently. Flying a Spitfire doesn't feel like flying a Hurricane. And it's not just the aircraft. Pilots react differently. They panic, black out, might feel a G-force, or might need to rest after multiple missions. But we didn't do this alone. From the very beginning, player feedback has played a vital role in shaping Scramble step by step. It's been a joint venture, and the community are our co-pilots. One of our most popular modes has been Squadron Leader. This can be seen as the earliest version of a career mode. You have 30 days to lead your squadron to victory. You'll make tough choices when building your crew and adapt quickly to take to the skies, even when pilots are injured or need rest. Later in the early access journey, we also launched a PvP multiplayer update, which allowed players to soar the skies with each other and open the door to some more complex multiplayer features that are already in the works. Of course, we introduced new aeroplanes too, starting with the Hurricane, the iconic workhorse of the Battle of Britain that quickly became a player favourite. And with the recent Dornier 17 update, players can now face a new style of mission, where the goal is to intercept and prevent bomber formations from escaping undamaged. Beyond the gameplay, Scramble also gave us an opportunity to reconnect with history. While the game isn't strictly historical, as a pilot in the game you can experience many of the World War II struggles. We wanted to dive deeper into this aspect, so we stepped back in history and launched a documentary series, A Lens on Battle of Britain. So far, our 3 released episodes focused on the core themes of pilots, airplanes, and dogfighting. Our final episode will be releasing very soon, so keep an eye out. We collaborated with historians Victoria Taylor and Paul Beaver, who brought expert insight to the screen. And yes, we even had the honour of premiering our work at the Royal Aeronautical Society in London back in October last year. So what's next for Scramble? We're deep into development on our next major update, which will introduce a pilot training system and enhance pilot traits. Players will soon be able to take charge of their pilot's development, guiding their training and shaping the long-term performance of their crew. It's a big step forward, adding more strategic depth and bringing Scramble even closer to realistic military planning. This is a crucial milestone on our path to the Scramble 1.0 version, but that's not all. We're also working on custom multiplayer lobbies and expanding the roster with aircraft like Ju-88. And of course, we're building towards a richer campaign, deepening the realistic context of the game. With these upcoming updates, we're confident that the full release of Scramble Battle of Britain will take off in the first half of next year. From early access to the road ahead, we've flown far and we're still gaining altitude. A huge thank you to our community. See you in the skies.
Hello, Bart Schouten. Welcome to the chat. Big friends of ours from the old times. Helped us be where we are. Ciao. The Scramble EA game, is EA the early access the way forward? Not really. It depends on the game. But so it was very, very fitting for Scramble. I wouldn't say it's a way forward. It's not something I personally love, to be honest, unless it has a purpose. Chances of a Warhammer 40k RTS? No, not here. Can we have games similar to Scramble but with World War II fleet battle? Interesting. Anything can be done. If there's enough requests, we'll sort out a poll for that. So looking at what the future is, what the future holds, I will start from what the present holds. And Neil is here with me to talk about a game that we've just launched. I was saying, just threw all the numbers up in the air and made us look at, at the business in a different way, I guess, at launching games and problems as well in a different way. So, Broken Arrow. How do you feel?
I'm very glad that we delivered what we were planning to deliver. We'd done a Steam playtest, we'd done a NextFest thing, I think that was our first public engagement. We'd had a number of public and semi-public betas. We knew we had something good. In fact, we knew we had. I was sitting here earlier thinking about my first engagements with Broken Arrow. I can remember talking to Roberta about it and trying to explain why we knew we had something good. We've always known we had something good. So personally, I think for me, the feeling was a relief that we had delivered on that. We delivered the game that people wanted. I think that's true, certainly. What you say about it being a different level compared to what we normally do, the good and the bad has been amplified, definitely. The sales figures we have seen are definitely unusual for Slitherine, I think, and very pleasing. The level of interest overall, it's the amount of localization, for example, that's gone into it. It's localized in 12 or 13 languages, something like that. It was an incredible amount of work to get all of that in there. So, the interest around it, the reaction to it has been very instructive for us. It's also been it's just a huge online community out there, and RTS is for everybody a genre where the players are very demanding. They've got very high expectations, frustration. It's very intense gameplay, and frustrations get amplified very quickly. So dealing with that has certainly been a challenge for a company like us.
Yeah. I think the word amplified is very spot on. Everything is amplified with a game like Broken Arrow. The problems, but also the success. We're chatting with Ian when we launched the game on the 19th, and everything felt like it was bigger but also we have been working for so long on Broken Arrow that we were kind of expecting some of it. So when you expect something and it happens, it almost takes away the joy, because you can't focus only on the problems. But I guess that we have to be proud of what's been achieved there.
Yeah, I mean the first few days after, everybody worked so hard for so long. The Steel Balalaika, of course, first and foremost, worked so hard for so many months, and then internally in the weeks leading up to it, sort of Sam in particular, the producer on it, just working so hard for so long to make it happen, and then it comes out and you've got a load of connection issues and people aren't happy about that, and then you spend the next few days sort of scrambling to try and catch up with that and make that stuff good. And it's not like it comes out and it does well and there's a big fanfare and everybody goes to the beach.
Champagne and
yeah, none of that at all. David said earlier, talking about the days when we were young men and you released a game and you'd almost forgotten by the time the game came out. That's not how things go anymore, certainly. So the first few days after launch were exhausting, to be honest.
I think having the makes me think there. We had Sam, for instance, working until 3 o'clock in the morning, to sort of add beta testers, or Edmund, trying to manage this community of people with lots of different quests and things. The amount of work that goes behind the scenes is amazing, and I think that if only I could speak to the community to all the community out there, would be that enjoy playing the game, because every time someone sort of cheats or spoils it, or it sort of ruins the overall experience, and not only for us working on it, but for everyone else out there. So it's an important thing that we have to consider. Not talk about negative things, but Broken Arrow. Can you tell us, where we are, what's going to happen in the coming weeks?
So imminent, I would say. We have patch version 1.08, which will fix a number of connection issues that people have been having. It will fix a whole load of cheating stuff. Certainly, it should allow people to reconnect a lot more smoothly. So it should be it will be a greatly improved experience, certainly. Beyond that, we launched with the scenarios not really being ready. So when we launched 1.0, there was no skirmish in the game because we weren't happy with it. Our community made very clear that they weren't happy with the lack of skirmish, so we quickly put skirmish back in. People seem much happier with that as a solution. For the next patch, 1.8, then that is going to have an option to toggle the map sizes because they're very big maps. They're not suited to 1v1, 2v2 skirmish. But so we'll have a sort of auto toggle to reduce the size of that map. Those of you who were in the beta might remember the tower defense scenario that we had in there. That will be coming back in. We'll be planning to add in going forward probably a new scenario with every significant update that we do, patches, fixing things. So I don't imagine that 1.08 will fix every single problem that everybody's been having, but it will clear up a lot of stuff. The team are working incredibly hard on that at the moment. As soon as it's ready, it will be out. But there's no point in rushing it out at this point. We've got a lot to address. Had to duck out of rehearsal here today to have a meeting with the developers on that. So. Full steam ahead on that. What happens beyond that in terms of patches kind of depends. We have so many things to address. There's I think one of the biggest is the ability to save during a single player campaign. It's a lot of work. I mean, that's not going to happen overnight, but people have made it very clear that is a thing they want. So that's definitely something which is on the roadmap in terms of improvements. Lots to do with skirmish. There's lots to do with the sort of AI around skirmish in particular. I think that's definitely something we want to tackle as well. Longer term, are we allowed to talk sort of longer term stuff?
Well, I mean, open up.
Yeah, longer term. We've been clear that the game has been successful, and that we would like to imagine there is an appetite for a bit more content at some stage down the line. Nothing we can really say about that. We're still, I think, in sort of post-release mode at the moment, which doesn't allow us to sort of spend a lot of time planning what we're doing in terms of DLC. People all have their favourite factions that they want to see in the game. Factions are big things. So it takes time. You've got to build whole scenarios around that. Possibly whole mini campaigns, things like that. There's an awful lot of units need building. So nothing is confirmed in terms of what we're doing for factions yet. I mean, we hear what people say all the time. Everybody, keeps recommending their favourite factions. We'd love to have them all in there. I'm not sure I can say much more than that.
Yeah,
we have
so no Space Marines to announce today?
No Space Marines to announce today. Maybe we'll do that in our next stream.
Okay.
Kind of big factions is going to be a longer term goal. So I think it will be sort of smaller updates before then. But I don't think I can say any more than that for now.
That's enough, I guess. A mini campaign, heck yeah. I think the number of opportunities that Broken Arrow have is huge. But first of all, we have to make community happy and thriving and playing, and healthy. And we can only do that with the help of the amazing team at Steel Balalaika. It's really working so hard on making stuff happen. So guys, you couldn't possibly imagine how hard these guys are working, pre-release, at release, and now post-release, and to make you guys happy, and everyone in the team. So let's give them the time to fix what you want to fix, and then we'll move to announcing more stuff in the future. Thank you very much, Neil. We have the next one is the next sort of 3 videos we're going to show are about upcoming games that we have. 2 of them we've announced, 1 of them we haven't, but you have seen briefly in the introductory video. So the first one is about the very cool Stormbinders. So have a look at this update video from the guys at marketing.
Today we reveal more about Stormbinders, our upcoming fantasy turn-based strategy game. If you're a fan of classic tactical titles and have followed our recent updates, you already know Stormbinders will feel like home for you. However, Stormbinders has a few tricks up its sleeve that we haven't fully revealed yet. So let's see them together. If you grew up playing Heroes of Might and Magic and love games like Sons of Conquest and Age of Wonders, Stormbinders will feel instantly familiar. The intuitive UI, world exploration, hex grid tactical combat, and hero progression pay homage to those classics. But what sets Stormbinders apart is, well, storms. Magical storms, shifting climates, and chaotic elements can cause chaos and destruction, or be harnessed by the player to deadly effect. That's the core idea where Stormbinders was born. At the heart of Stormbinders' lore lies the Magic Weave. It's a majestic living force that connects all things. It's not just magic, it's the flow of time, the shaping of weather. In many ways, it's life itself. But you will enter the story after something has gone terribly wrong. The Magic Weave has been torn, causing wild storms, surges of magic, and strange rifts that twist the land. There are many questions. How did it happen? What could have caused this calamity? That's a mystery we can't reveal now, but what we can tell you is that the world is divided into 4 regions, each ruled by a faction that reacted to the Weave's collapse in its own way. In the northwest lie the cities of Imperium, a kingdom once guided by light, religion, and pride, now shrouded in shadow. Betrayed from within and unsure who to trust, their future lies in the hands of a broken king and a young heir no one expected. In the southwest, we find Astrian, a faction of scholars and mystics bound to the ancient knowledge. They believe that magic should serve the world, not rule it, but their peaceful forests now pulse with unstable energy. Moving to the southeast, from the burning flames of Helion, the demon Lord Margrim sees the Broken Weave as a big opportunity to reshape the world in his image. Fueled by chaos, Helion's armies march to conquer and bring destruction as a first step toward rebirth. And in the cold silence of the northeastern area lies Immortus, where the dead whisper and walk. The collapse is not a tragedy to them, but a natural cycle. They seek balance not through peace, but through acceptance of death and renewal. Each faction has its own playstyle and unique abilities. Imperium, for example, is balanced and adaptive, the ideal for strategic, versatile players. Astrian uses elite troops and precise magic, perfect for tactical minds. Helion plays aggressively, summoning demons and overwhelming the enemy, while Immortus fields undead legions that grow stronger with each fallen foe. Whatever your strategy is, you'll play as a Stormbinder, and your decisions will shape the fate of the world. This isn't a story about destiny, it's a story of power and survival and what comes next after everything has fallen apart. Stormbinders features several interconnected map layers. There's a global map for resource gathering and exploration, a castle map for resource management and realm upgrades, and even underground zones with secret paths, dungeons, and hidden treasures. The more you explore and gather, the more you can level up your kingdom and forces. And of course, combat evolves on hex-based battlefields, where unit synergy, terrain, and weather all shape the outcome. Now let's talk about one of the game's core innovations, Stormbinding. It's a charge-based system that lets you bind weather effects to your hero, powered by a resource we call mana, which you accumulate by exploring, leveling up, and finding magical artifacts. As the mana bar fills, you will be able to cast weather spells and manage them through the spellbook. The effects of Stormbinding can fall into three types. Global effects influence storms across the entire map, local effects trigger weather events in specific areas, and combat effects can override the battlefield conditions, even to your advantage. Stormbinding doesn't just change the look of the game, it changes the entire strategy. Faction identity also influences which storms you can control and how they evolve. So imagine freezing a river to cross into enemy territory, or lightning rounding an air unit just at the right moment. A clever opponent might even use the storms against you and win with a smaller army. That's the strategic depth Stormbinding brings. Another standout aspect is customization. You can enable or disable advanced weather, lock maps to always winter, or play in classic mode if you just want a more traditional experience. Basically, you can control the complexity. To sum it up, Stormbinders blends the familiar with the unexpected. It's a love letter to classic strategy games, though with fresh twists and tactical innovation. It's still turn-based, but now the storm might be both your greatest threat or your most powerful ally. The game is currently in development, and we're aiming to launch our first beta by the end of this year. So stay tuned, wishlist Stormbinders on Steam, and get ready to bind the storms.
Stormbinders is amazing. It's amazing, and there's another Heroes of Might and Magic-like game coming out, but Stormbinders is better. Just believe what I say. Next video is, unfortunately for everyone, and I'm very sorry to say that, it's Mark Hardisty's last video. But we'll of course upload them all on YouTube afterwards, so that you can watch all four Mark's videos in a row if you feel like you miss some. It's about RuneQuest. RuneQuest is it's the first game we do with the going back to what we said earlier about using technology to improve and to make something different on. So this is the first game we're doing on the Battlesector engine. doing it with Virtuos, and they're doing a game with RuneQuest IP. I think, I'm a big fan of RuneQuest. My hair are gone, so you can imagine that what type of RPGs I was playing when I was a kid, and I always loved Chaosium system. RuneQuest was one of my first pen and paper RPGs. I'm super happy to work on it, and I think that the guys are doing an amazing job at sort of taking that core flavor and using great turn-based combat with RPG elements and bringing that world to life. So have a look at that very cool video.
We're incredibly proud to be working on RuneQuest, a project that not only represents a thrilling new game for us, but also a chance to contribute to one of the most iconic fantasy universes in tabletop gaming. RuneQuest has inspired players for generations with its rich mythology, unique setting, and deep character-driven storytelling, and it's been our mission to honour that legacy in digital form. Our RuneQuest game is a turn-based strategic experience built on the foundation of our Battlesector engine. That means players can expect fluid, rewarding gameplay with strategic depth. But what truly sets this title apart is how faithfully it brings Glorantha to life. Set within the established timeline of RuneQuest, our campaign focuses on original characters and conflicts that could easily sit alongside the classic sagas of the setting. We're especially excited to say that the game is now nearing completion. We're entering the closed beta phase very soon, and that means we're looking forward to inviting players, many of whom are long-time RuneQuest fans, to step into this world and help us refine the experience. It's been a remarkable journey so far, and working closely with Chaosium, it has been both an honour and a pleasure. Their guidance and passion have ensured that every decision we make, from the look of the landscapes to the voice of the gods themselves, stay true to the spirit of RuneQuest. The player steps into the role of the Orlanthi of Talastar, one of Glorantha's most iconic and storied cultures. The Orlanthi are more than just a faction. They are a people bound by honour, storm, and the unbreakable ties of kinship. In our single-player campaign, you will lead these proud warriors through a saga of vengeance, loyalty, and defiance against the forces of chaos. At the heart of the Orlanthi lies a deep sense of duty to family, to tribe, and to the gods. Their code of honour shapes every decision, every blade drawn, and every sacrifice made. In battle, the Orlanthi are known for their ferocity and their unrelenting will to push forward. This is reflected in the game's mechanics through unique traits such as Storm's Fury, which empowers their Battle Rush bonus, allowing for stronger or additional attacks to occur. When Orlanthi units surge more than 3 tiles from their starting position, they draw upon Orlanthi's divine strength, gaining additional power to break enemy lines and inspire their king. Players will experience this firsthand through the story of Halgrim Ironsword, the campaign's main protagonist. Halgrim is a warrior driven by the loss of his father, a tragedy at the hands of the Chaos Horde that threatens to consume the land. His journey is one of vengeance, but also of leadership, as he rallies his people to stand against the darkness that encroaches upon their world. The Orlanthi offer players a chance to embody the storm, swift, relentless, and guided by purpose. Their strengths in offence and their commitment to honour make them both a powerful and deeply engaging faction to lead. Through them, we invite players to shape their own saga in Glorantha. On July the 23rd, we're hosting a special online event dedicated to RuneQuest Warlords. It's a must-watch occasion where we'll dive deeper into the game and showcase never-before-seen gameplay. But the news is not finished yet. We're joining Gen Con 2025. From July 31st to August the 3rd, you'll find us at the Chaosium booth with an exclusive playable demo of the game. You'll get a chance to try out missions ahead of release, ask us questions about the game, and get a first taste of what's coming at launch. So, if you're in Indianapolis, make sure to stop by.
How glorious, not Mark, the game. Just great graphics, gameplay is awesome, beta is going to launch soon, so Make sure you subscribe to the beta. Make sure you come and see us at Gen Con if you're around. And of course, on the 23rd of July, just later this month, we'll have a full rundown of gameplay with all the guys behind the scenes. And hopefully you're going to get to learn more about this awesome game, which hopefully releases before the end of the year. So thank you, everyone. And I'll move to the game that we are announcing today. You have seen it at the start of this showcase. Battle Plan is our next game we're announcing. Just to give you an idea, there's in total 14 products we are working on currently that you haven't heard about. And this one is the first one we're announcing in this event. The other ones are going to be announced later on. Battle Plan is an amazing game by an amazing developer, developed by Foolish Mortals, the developers of very innovative indie games. You are going to find a very different type of war game, strategy game. So have a look and see yourself.
At Slitherine, we have always believed in games that go beyond entertainment. Games that respect and simulate history. Known for our classic X-based strategy titles, we are now pushing the genre forward. In collaboration with Foolish Mortals, Battle Plan reimagines strategy with a fresh, intuitive approach that breaks from tradition and delivers a new level of depth and immersion. Battle Plan isn't just another World War II RTS. It offers an unprecedented level of depth and control. You command an entire division from headquarters down to reflect companies, with a fully working chain of command. But what really stacks is the planning phase. You don't micromanage units here, instead you create elaborate multi-phase battle plans by literally drawing them on the map, just like a real commander would. You can draw a line to form a front line or sketch out an attack route for your forces to follow. Want to defend an area, seize ground or bombard a zone? Just draw a circle over it and your troops will know what to do. The basic unit of the game is a division, made up of thousands of soldiers split among dozens of companies. The companies are the one doing the moving and fighting. When you give a division an order, it automatically assigns its companies to carry it out. You give high-level commands, then watch as the individual companies scurry into action like a swarm of ants. You'll be watching your supply lines, fueling advances, moving units. It's all simulated second by second across missions that last days or even weeks. Supply arrives from off-map into major hubs, ports or train yards, and from there flows into player-placed supply depots. Those depots then feed your divisions. You need to position your depots close enough to keep your units well supplied, but not so close that they get overrun. And yes, you can capture enemy depots and turn their own stockpiles against them. From infantry and tanks to engineers, artillery and air support, every unit plays a distinct role. Scouts reveal enemy position, 80 guns take out armor, engineers handle fortification and minefields, recon plays scout ahead, and fighter bombers strike to support your offensive. There is a full campaign with persistent forces. Your army evolves over time. Officers gain experience, units suffer losses, rest, return. Divisions will be customized and straightened. Battle Plan isn't just our next release. It defines what the next generation of strategy games can be. Join the beta now on the Slitherine website and be part of this journey.
Amazing, amazing, and really cool to see that we can still manage to come up with cool ideas. And in this space, I am amazed by how far you can go for coming up with different takes on the subject, which is amazing. Neil, thank you for joining us.
Always a pleasure to be here.
And we're surely going to see you soon. I heard that you're retiring from being producer, so
Yes, Broken Arrow will probably be the last thing that I ever produce.
But you're still with us,
directly.
Right? Okay.
I'm not going anywhere, but yes,
Okay.
my long and complicated job title means I look after the other producers now rather than the games directly.
It's awesome, and because we have so much stuff we're working on, and so many. Every time we announce a new game, you have to think that all the producers are still working on the stuff that we have launched 10, 15 years ago, and working on the new stuff. So that's how the company grows, and that's why we are so many. Over the years, especially recently, we have tried to come up with cool ideas to support the games, the company, and the industry, coming up with cool content as in video formats, ideas that shake a bit the common way of marketing a game, a company. And this has been done through an amazing team here in Milan, and through the ideas of everyone really contributed to this. The first thing we did back in, I think 3 years ago now, was the Geek Recipe. The Geek Recipe is an extremely successful format that puts us in touch with people don't really necessarily do strategy games, but they work in the entertainment industry, in the video games industry, and give us a lot of insights about how games are done. And the cool things about cooking with them has always been, interacting with interesting people. So more often we look at interesting stories rather than go for big personalities or in the industry or whatnot, because what we think is important is give value to the human beings behind the making of the games. And I was recently saying all the bad stuff that's happening in the industry. What we think is important is really value the people that work behind every game. That's why we try to make a game that's sustainable, that keeps working with the people over and over again, supporting. And the Geek Recipe, I think, is a good testament of that. All that by of course, cooking stuff. I think we got a trailer of the Geek Recipe, which is kind of fun to watch. Take a look. Hello and welcome back to our kitchen. Welcome to season 3 of Geek Recipe. Française. This recipe is my mother-in-law's. If I do it wrong, I could be in trouble.
This is a very big knife
for a very small garlic.
Yeah. Unanimation.
Humanimation.
Yes. So I'm going to shout at someone now.
This is how you grate a lemon. You take a lemon and a grater.
Mechanics and narrative.
Everything is in the dish. That's the recipe. That's the Geek Recipe. We should be putting some sound effects in, like rounds of applause.
Yeah,
and,
confetti coming from the skies, special effects.
I think you see what I'm saying with these people. An amazing season, this one. Every single episode, you just go and watch it. It's really good. Not because I'm in it, but because these people are in it. And I really have fun doing it. The other thing we did was, as Annie said in her video, Alliance On. Alliance On as a concept is a long-form documentary about a subject that we did about Battle of Britain this year to launch Scramble Early Access, and then we did shorts for Kingdoms about life in the Middle Ages, all sorts of social, military, political subjects around the Middle Ages with Dr. Claire Cannon. These formats are there to witness the fact that what we're doing is made with passion and with commitment to do accurate stuff that is relevant to the people who play the game. So, again, we have a short video of Alliance On.
This is the first time in the world that there is a major aerial battle between 600 British aircraft and 2,500 German aircraft.
When you look at all these amazing characteristics of these fighter aces, you can start to see the absolutely amazing men that took part in this battle.
Fewer than 10% of the pilots in the Battle of Britain actually shot down an aeroplane.
They ended up being honoured for sacrificing their lives for a country that wasn't even theirs.
Number one attack, number two attack. It's all about how you position your aeroplanes.
Players are only flying airplanes for 2 seconds at a time, but the novel aspect of Scramble being a turn-based game is that we have a flight simulation underneath.
And in fact, this actually got so intense for the Luftwaffe that its suicide rates rocketed during the Battle of Britain.
It's won not just by pilots, not just by fighter aircraft, it's won by the whole nation.
As the battle progresses, just as it did in history, pilots will inevitably be lost.
It's a death sentence when you're in the air.
As a result, you've got to be careful to make sure that you are conserving your aircraft.
At the end of the day, everything we do in life is about the people.
So what's coming up next? We have lots of cool things happening, but the thing I want to announce to you today is that we have a new format coming very soon, a monthly format that's going to be, a big project for everyone here, but also something that you guys are gonna really love. So take a look. So this is the set. It's a bit dark because the lighting, of course, is in the other area. But this is going to be the set of the hot seat. The hot seat is a new format that we're going to launch at the end of this month. It's going to be live. Thank you, Enzo. It's going to be live from the office here in Milan, from the studio. And it's all going to be about strategy games. So we're going to do a sort of a late night type show, and about an hour long, about what is new in the strategy gaming world. Strategy gaming world doesn't mean Slitherine, it means everything in the strategy gaming world. The hot seat will be updating you about everything strategy games, hopefully giving you some insights on what's happening in this industry, giving you more details about the niche. And I guess who can do it better than a company that's been doing strategy games for 25 years. The format is very much like a late show format. We'll have different blocks with different topics. We'll have a major guest at every episode, except for the first episode. The first episode will have, of course, my first guest will be Ian, joining me live here from Milan, telling us stories about how he made strategy games back in the days and how he still makes strategy games for the military today. And the second, or the big guest for the first episode will be the game director of Frostpunk 2, which I'm very proud will be very, very proud to welcome here in Milan to talk about how they at 11-bit Studios made Frostpunk 2 and what their plans are for the future as well. So I'm very proud and very excited about this new format. I hope you'll like it. I hope that you'll be kind of contributing to it as well, because it's again very much going to be about the community and how you guys react to it. Hopefully give you a lot of insights on numbers, what works, what doesn't, why people do certain things, why choices are made in certain ways. And I guess because the niche is a niche, we have to make sure that somebody takes responsibility in talking about these subjects. And we kind of feel that responsibility, and we feel it's important that we sort of keep flying the flags of strategy games. especially nowadays where major media doesn't really cover strategy games anymore, or very little, and when content creators are a vital part of how the industry of strategy gaming thrives. So we'll have content creators at the show as well. There's going to be a very fun format. So I hope you like it. See you on the 23rd of July with our guest. Enzo is looking at me very, very badly. Something I did wrong probably. But anyway, the date is 23rd, just after the RuneQuest gameplay reveal. And of course, this show is going to be supported by Alienware, our longtime partner in a lot of the live shows. So thank you, Alienware, for making this possible as well. Hopefully, you'll have some juicy topics to think about, and we'll have some cool discussions about things. So I hope you'll join me in that. So I guess it's time to say that tell you next time. Next big appointment for us is in 2 days at the Panzer Corps Day. It's going to be the second big event of the anniversary. After that, in July, we have the 23rd with RuneQuest gameplay and the hot seat. Then on the 25th of September, date confirmed, I guess, we have Home of Wargamers. Home of Wargamers is our format to cover all war games. As I said, Matrix Games is also 25 years old, so we've got a lot of announcements to make at Home of Wargamers, including some of your most beloved franchises getting new life. And also in December, to finish the celebration, we'll have a huge, really huge showcase of announcements, big announcements of of some of the 14 games I was referring to earlier, stuff that we haven't announced yet. And I really, really hope that you're going to join us there, because there is a lot to see and discover. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for staying with us for the whole duration of the show. And I hope I'll see you all on Friday for Panzer Corps Day. Goodbye.